Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. Depending where you are in the world, I'm here in London doing our nighttime devotion. The devotional is called Conflict and Courage, and the title today, The People's Choice. 1 Samuel 12:13. Behold the king whom you have chosen and whom you have desired. In Saul, God had given to Israel a king after their own heart, comely in person, of noble stature, princely bearing, his appearance accorded with their conceptions of royal dignity, and his personal valor, his ability in the conduct of armies, were the qualities which they regarded as best calculated to secure respect and honor from other nations. They felt little solicitude that their king should possess those higher qualities which alone could fit him to rule with justice and equity. They didn't ask for one who had true nobility of character, who possessed the love and fear of God. They had not sought counsel from God as to the qualities of a ruler should possess in order to preserve their distinctive, holy character as his chosen people. They were not seeking God's way, but their own way. Therefore, God gave them such a king as they desired, one whose character was a reflection of their own. Their hearts were not in submission to God, and their king also was unsubdued by divine grace. Under the rule of this king, they would obtain the experience necessary in order that they might see their error and return to their allegiance to God. Yet the Lord, having placed on Saul the responsibility of the kingdom, did not leave him to himself. He caused the Holy Spirit to rest upon Saul, to reveal to him his own weakness and his need of divine grace. And had Saul relied upon God, God would have been with him. So long as his will was controlled by the will of God, so long as he yielded to the discipline of his spirit, God could crown his efforts with success. But when Saul chose to act independently of God, the Lord could no longer be his guide and was forced to set him aside. Then he called to the throne a man after his own heart, not one who was faultless in character, but who, instead of trusting to himself, would rely upon God and be guided by his Spirit, who, when he sinned, would submit to reproof and correction. And if you know the story of Saul and the first king of Israel, then you would know exactly who they're talking about when it's said, a man after his own heart. The people's choice. The people's choice was a man called Saul. They chose Saul because they considered him to be a worthy man to be their king, because of certain qualities he had which they recognized as good, because of his leadership on the battlefield. But the qualities they considered good were not what God considered good. And the prime example is Saul was a very big, a man of big stature, big build, rugged, hard, strong, a good warrior, you could say, in battle. And that was the people's choice. Who succeeded him soon after, which you will probably hear about in the next devotional too, is David. David was small. He was one of the smallest. He was among the smallest of his family. Small. He was a shepherd boy. But God chose him because he was a man after his own heart. He listened to God. He consulted with God. He talked to God. And that's something you hear about with many of these men in the Bible, that they communed with God. They sought guidance from him in everything they did, anything they had to do. And the majority of this world, probably 90% of the people in this world, don't. This is all about train up a child in the way they should go. When they get older, they will have that foundation to build upon. And they won't stray, or they shouldn't stray. You have to train them up, teach them about God. God's will, God's way, in this sin-sick world.